Recycleista. I'm back as promised with some things that have sold the past week or so on eBay and Etsy. I spent quite a bit of time this week actually listing some sewing patterns in the Etsy, my pattern shop on Etsy. I had just recently reopened that with all the new patterns that I've gotten and my backlog of patterns that I still have. I decided to go ahead and give that some focus again. As you can see, the shop on Etsy is called Pish Posh Notions, and my goal in this past week or so was to get up to 100. So a few weeks ago when I reopened the shop, there was still about 20 or so patterns, I think, that I still had in stock and I could just reactivate. And then I moved some over from eBay, and I listed some more, and my goal was to get to 100, and I did as of yesterday. So, but in the process of doing that, I sold about 20 patterns or so. So that's positive for me. I feel like I'm on the right track with having this shop. I'm not listing anything under $10 in this store, and shipping is on top of that. So if we take a quick look at the sales page. So these are the sales that I had. It goes down to about here. This one down here, the little sundress. Gunny socks was a good sale. That went pretty quickly for about $20. I have a lot of costume patterns right now because my sister-in-law is consigning some with me. And I had a few multi-pattern sales, which is nice. And I didn't, when I had the store open before, that didn't happen very often. But these four men's patterns went to the same buyer. I think they went ahead and added to their order because I have the free shipping over $35 deal that Etsy offers. My favorite sale, let me just show you. I have it on another. This was probably the best sale and was one of my favorite patterns as well so far. It sold for about $64, and vintage Vogue from the 60s, 70s. The jumpsuits are really popular right now, but it had this kind of amazing tunic that you would wear over your jumpsuit. So I just thought that was a lot of fun, and it sold within a couple weeks. So that was great. Let's move on pretty quick to one of my other Etsy shops, the main vintage one. So this is the Recycleista, and I have to change my location because I'm not there anymore. So I gotta figure that one out. There really are so many places that you have to change addresses when you move that it's kind of funny. But anyway, what I wanted to share here were the knives, the Dansk knives. And in one of my last videos, one of the bags of flatware that I got from my mother-in-law had these knives and some forks. And the knives sold really quickly. These 5 knives sold for $82. So Dansk flatware can be a really good thing, especially the mid-century stuff. And then there's versions that are made in Japan, but these were marked Finland. So Finland and Denmark, the ones marked those will usually go for a little bit more than the ones made in Japan. And that's for Dansk and Laufer and those types of brands. Some other flatware sold, and then this is another fun one, this Laufer Design 2 serving fork. I've had that listed for quite a while, but I think the day that I listed the Dansk flatware, that one sold. The Laufer one sold, and that was about $45. So that was a good, worth it sale, and glad to finally have moved that. The teacup was kind of fun. It did not sell for a whole bunch. It sold for $12. It's a Johnson Brothers, fairly popular. As you can see, 7 people had it in their cart. Just a simple teacup and saucer. It has the design on the inside, which was a little bit different. There's a plain version as well, and it sold pretty quickly. That also came from my mother-in-law's storage unit. I don't think I ever showed it to you in one of the previous videos. So moving on to eBay, we have this Starbucks mug, and I'll just go through that real quickly. I think I bought this new at the store, and I probably paid about $10. It sold for about 30. Well, as you can see, it sold for 30. Shipping was about 10. So I'm thinking I pretty much just doubled my money on that one. Not the greatest flip. There are some anniversary mugs with the mermaid face or the siren that feature the siren somehow, and some years those are just like super popular, and some years they're not so popular. So I was just kind of taking a chance by buying them new in the store and just hanging on to them. This was from 2016. I held on to it for a few years, listed it probably sometime earlier this year, and as you can see, like I said, just doubled my money, so that's fine. This next one is some flatware. It's called Nork. And this one I just wanted to share real quick because it used to do a lot better. When I first was buying flatware to flip, I found some of this and I would list it and it would sell. And it was like really quick. And these I listed probably a year and a half ago, if not longer, and they've just been sitting. So I think I sent an offer to a watcher and like for $25, and they finally have sold. Nork, they're kind of different. I think they're like supposed to be a knife fork combo. That side of the fork is a little bit heavier duty or thick or something like that. I think that's the deal. Kind of like the whole spork Nork something idea. But maybe it was a thing, it was popular for a bit, and then maybe not so popular anymore. So I don't think I will pick those up again. Then this was a good sale. I just have a quick story on this one. It's a cautionary tale on the idea of having the correct equipment. So I did make a bit of a mistake in this, and I heard from the buyer, and I do believe her. I was a little doubtful at first because I thought, all right, well, let me just tell you the story. I have this listed at 8 grams. I do not have the best scale. I have a regular postal scale and I don't have a jewelry scale. So it doesn't measure really lightweight things very accurately. And so I think that was the problem here. So when the buyer came back to me and said, oh, my scale, which was a jewelry scale, she sent me a picture. My scale says, 6.5 grams. I kind of tend to believe her. Yes, it's possible she does this to every person. And at first I just said, okay, send it back. And I figured I'd get a new scale and I'd redo it. But she offered the partial refund option and it was only $25. And so I thought, well, she's not trying to flim-flam me too much. And it was the simplest option. So other people might have made a different decision, but I went ahead and decided to just go ahead, give her the partial refund, and I will buy myself a jewelry scale and not make this mistake again in the future. But still not too bad. $120 or so for, is that right? My math is not so great. Anyway, so still not a bad sale for a class ring. And here was the other tip I had for you. So the maker of the class ring was in there. It's Balfour. And I just went to their website and looked at the type of stones that they used, for birthstones. And it helped me to identify this as an emerald spinel, is what their website calls the green stone that they use for that particular month. So anyway, it was a nice looking ring and it has been sold. Okay, flatware. This was a couple shows back. I was talking about the flatware that has the pierced handle and how they kind of all look alike, but you have to just kind of be careful that you count the number of flowers and scrolls and things like that and make sure you have the right one. So another piece of that sold. That's Michelangelo is a pretty good pattern to sell. So the one serving fork sold for $15.99 with free shipping. Okay, so I did list some jewelry, just a little bit here and there. I do have some more to get listed. That's kind of like understatement of the year. But anyway, this was a little thrift store find a few months back before we moved, and I just hadn't gotten to it because they needed some cleaning. So there was, on the back here, there was some, like there had been, you can still kind of see some of it. There had been like a comfort pad there that was like sticky and hard to get off. There was some green spots, which I'm not sure if it was verdigris or not, but I used some white vinegar and just tried to clean it as best I can, but it did have some wear. Otherwise, I might have gone a little bit higher, but $72.99 was pretty good, and they only took a couple days to sell. They, like I said, not in the best condition, but I did recognize them. You know, the logo, I recognized it in the store, and they had it with a bunch of other little, or actually big, 80s, 90s kind of fun power jewelry. And I paid a couple bucks for those. So, speaking of flatware again, I did not finish all the flatware that I had talked about that was in that tub. I took some more pictures today. I am not thrilled with these pictures, but as you'll see, I sold a lot of what I've already listed. So I guess the buyers don't mind my photos. It was a sunny day, and so I was using natural light, and you know, you get kind of the yellowish tinge because of the sunlight. So I'm still working on figuring that out, what I want to do about it. But anyway, $15 salad forks have moved on, as well as dinner forks also got listed from that group, $18.99. Teaspoons from that day also went. So this was only in the matter of a couple days. A bunch of this flatware got listed in one day, and a few days later a bunch of it had already sold, which tells me what I need to know, right? Okay, so that's pretty much the main story of the solds. We sold other things, but I don't want to make this video terribly long. So I'm going to share, I think we had some sales. We had some sales on Mercari and Poshmark, nothing super exciting, but I should probably try to remember to add those in as well. So I just wanted to do an update on some of the things I had talked about. I did get the Monopoly game listed. This hasn't sold yet, but quite a few of the things I was looking back and I'm like, oh, I took pictures of some things, but there's quite a few things I'm still working on getting listed. But I did get the Monopoly game figured out. I figured out that the 10 tokens were only used for a certain amount of years right after World War II. The airplane token was retired in 1950. So this is really only, even though there's 1936 and 35 dates on the game, this probably dates us more towards the post-war, 45, 46, up to 1950. But the box isn't in the greatest shape. I threw a number, 135, on there. There's room for me to make offers to people, to watchers, and things like that. And of course, I did get a message right away telling me my price was too high, but they offered me $40 for it. And I just very kindly said, thank you so much for your input and your offer, and I will keep it in mind. But I didn't go into defending myself and my pricing and everything like that. I know my price is a little bit high, but I have room to make offers and run sales and things like that. And I have 2 watchers already, I think. And as we see, it's gotten about 68 views. So, okay. If you can hear that, the fan on my laptop keeps going on. So, not sure what that's all about. Okay, one more thing. This was my husband's, his shop on eBay. I had told you in one of the last videos that he's starting to list on one and I'm listing on the other. And I just wanted to share the first sale he's had over there, because it's a good bolo. It's a good thing to be on the lookout for. This was another thing that came in the thrift mobile of my mother-in-law. She picked it up at the thrift store. It was $1, I think. So vintage Coleman lantern. If they're in really, really good shape, they can go for a really good price. My husband's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and list it. He figured at the most, at the least he would part it out, because the glass bulb by itself can sell pretty well. You can see there's a lot of paint loss and such on it. So he just went ahead and listed it as for parts or not working, and still got $90 for it. So keep an eye out for those vintage Coleman lanterns. And then let's go back real quick to my main Etsy shop, and if I go to what's listing, okay, I just wanted to share that I did get that ceiling lamp. It's in two people's carts, that popcorn plastic light cover, and then the ironing roll cover. So I've got those things listed. A couple other things that have just kind of been in my backlog. There's the forks, the dance forks. So I'm selling them 2 at a time, and then I have 2 sets of 2. And then while I was digging around in my stuff, I saw some more Loffer flatware. I just decided to throw that on there, these bar tools. So got a few things listed, but not a ton. So I think that's it. That's all I wanted to share. We have more things coming, more things to list, and we will see you around. Have fun selling.